There are a lot of characters in the Halo universe that are either mentioned only once or die rather quickly after we learn about them. So in order to add to my growing collection of Halo lore, I decided to start making videos with a collection of characters' stories in order to cover as many as I can, so I hope you enjoy it. Today, we are going to talk about 4 different characters, and next time, I plan to make a video about the entire history of the Yanmi, aka drones. The Minister of Discovery was a San Shium holding the title of Minister. Aging 1,300 revolutions at the time of his death in 2552, he had held his ministerial title for 214 revolutions. 1,300 revolutions equals to a total of 39 Earth years, which was his age, and his position as a minister was held for a little over 6 years. In 2552, the Minister of Discovery was responsible for unlocking the seals of a flood containment facility on Installation Cerro 4, while he was safely aboard his vessel. This resulted in the deaths and consumption of his team within the facility and the ensuing flood outbreak during the Battle of Installation Cerro 4. During the invasion of High Charity by the flood, the minister barricaded himself in his quarters to escape the parasite. In his last hours, he wrote a written confession on the walls of his chamber, expressing his regret for the failings and lies of himself and his people, in the small chance that it could be read by future generations. Once his confession was completed, he unlocked the doors to his chamber, allowing the flood to enter and kill him. A very short story, but I wanted to include it mainly because it's the first time I read about a San Shium actually confessing to the lies he and his people told, and even letting himself be killed, when almost every San Shium are coward who'd let others die to save themselves. Bibjam was a veteran Ungoi warrior. Though his age affected his physical combat skills, he was an excellent tactician and never backed down in the face of danger like many Ungoi tend to do. Despite the Ungoi's lowly status within Jul Mdama's reformed covenant, Bibjam served as a squad leader of a Sangili unit, of which a Shangili named Dam Mashat was a member of. Bibjam had attained a leadership position due to the respect that he had garnered from many Sangili. Bibjam led his unit into many battles throughout the Blooding Years, mourning those that died along the way, while the Sangili he commanded reveled in their own glory. As the war dragged on, Bibjam became increasingly more concerned with protecting the lives of those under his command. Believing that the Covenant was doomed, Bibjam contacted the Swords of Sangilios and informed them of the Covenant's movements, believing that surrendering to the Swords of Sangilios was their only opportunity for survival. When the Sangili under his command learned of his betrayal, they confronted him. Bibjam claimed that he believed that he had found a way to save them all, allowing themselves to be captured by the Swords of Sangilios. However, those under his command disagreed, and Mashat reluctantly killed him with his Type 1 energy sword, though the Sangili could not look Bibjam in the eyes as he impaled the Ungoi. Which speaks volumes about the amount of respect the Sangili had for his leader. It's a shame that the team the Ungoi led decided to end him instead of joining him, considering Bibjam only wanted his elites to be safe. A tragic story. Mashat later participated in the Battle of Sunayon on Sangilios on October 27, 2558. During the battle, Mashat was near the Forerunner Guardian construct in the city when it left Sangilios through slipstream space for Genesis. Mashat's Lich was caught in the Guardian's wake and pulled to Genesis, where he had to evade Promethean knights that were now under command of the Created under the Shield World's corrosive atmosphere. Mashat recorded his thoughts on Bibjam and his leadership on a datapad as he and Jabjab were pulled into a prison cell by Monitor 031, Exuberant Witness, in an attempt to stop the fighting raging across the Shield World.
His name was Bibjam. He was a mere grunt, scarred though spirited past his useful years. His advice was unconventional. Fight as if there was no honor in death. He guided us to victory in conflict after conflict, and while we reveled in our glory, he mourned every brother we lost along the way. As the war went on, Bibjam became more concerned with protecting us. When we finally caught him at referring our movements to the swords of St. Helios. He told us capture was the only way for us to avoid death. He truly believed he found a way to save us. I could not meet his gaze when I ran him through.
Following the departure of Fireteam Osiris, Exuberant Witness released Jab Jab and Mashat, who found himself unexpectedly filled with pity for TDS-009, a Promethean knight whose human essence was remembering who it used to be. Mashat was disillusioned with the Covenant religion, with the Prophet's teachings revealed to be lies, and the gods' benevolence in doubt, as splinter Covenant factions sought for the destructive weapons they left behind. He wished to break out of this programming like Bibjam did, but was worried about what would be left for him. Asking Exuberant Witness what could be done with the Promethean Knight, the Monitor told Mashat that taking the Promethean Knight through the gateway and into the domain would be the chance for it and its human essence to find peace, but cannot be certain as the domain was both out of commission for so long and under Cortana's control. At Mashat's request, Exuberant Witness released 3 other Ungoi and a single megalith Golo called Nalaligol from their cells in the Monitor's menagerie. Addressing the Covenant troops, Mashat recounted the fall of Umdama's Covenant, how they had all been transported to Genesis by the Guardians, and how his former leader Bibjam had sought to protect his squad from inevitable defeat by betraying the Covenant before dying to his sword. Mashat realized Bibjam's mistake was that while he acted with honorable intentions, he didn't share his plans with the warriors under his command, and removed the opportunity for his squad to make their own choices. So he presented everyone with a choice: return to a location of their choosing with Exuberant Witness's help, or stay on Genesis with the Monitor to help her return everyone transported to Genesis to where they belonged. All of the former prisoners agreed to serve Exuberant Witness as the true guardians of Genesis. If there's one thing you'd never expect a Sangheili to do, is make jokes and do some friendly teasing with a Spartan 4. And yet, we are blessed with one that does exactly that. His name is Ovi Tar, and his best friend is a Spartan 4 named Adrian Vesco. As of 2560, Ovi Tar was one of the many Swords of Sangheilios personnel deployed on Anvil Station as part of the Joint Operations Task Force set up between the Swords and the UNSC. While on station, Tar was involved in practicing weapons drills and wargame simulation training with the station's Spartan 4 complement, in particular Spartan Adrian Vesco. After training, the two frequently relaxed in the bar called Shots Fired, trading jokes and banter.
It could legitimately be argued that a post-sim evening in Shots Fired could do more to effectively progress cross-cultural diplomacy than a week of live-fire drills. Vesco and Tar had been regulars for a while now, but the ribbing never seemed to grow old. Vesco finished hailing down a server for another round and then turned back towards Tar. "All right, Fistface, your turn." The elite warrior pondered for a moment and then spoke. "How many humans does it take to operate a spacecraft?" "Nobody knows, because the AI do everything anyway." Vesco finished the well-worn joke. "Come on, that's an old one. Give me something good." "Very well," replied Tar. "Have you heard the one about the glassed planet?" "No." "Neither have they." "Oh, damn. That is good. I heard it from Jacobs."
On March 3rd, 2025-60, Tar and Vesco were paired together to deploy as part of a larger expedition launched in response to a distress call originating from the Avery J. Johnson Academy of Military Science on Nyssa. They were deployed to the world via the command frigate Sword of Conjunction, arriving in the midst of an ongoing invasion of the planet led by the New Colonial Alliance, a clan within the Banished. The Riftborn aboard Conjunction, including Tar and Vesco, were deployed onto the ground via the frigate's Yado pattern intrusion carapaces. Vesco and Tar landed around 100 meters, or 330 feet, separated from one another, and began to head into the base in order to find Commander Lorette Agrina for extraction. After picking up friendly IFF tags in the distance, the two found themselves in the base's firing range and armory, encountering a Jirohanai chieftain handing out salvaged CQS-48 bulldogs and SRS-99 AM sniper rifles to his underlings. The two proceeded to engage the banished troops, with Vesco throwing a grenade into the group, followed by a burst of machine gun fire from Tar. These collectively took out most of the banished troops, leaving only the chieftain and a second Jirohanai alive, which then attacked Vesco and began trying to claw the Spartan to death. Tar fired another burst at the brute, knocking him off Vesco, but in doing so, missed the chieftain, swinging its gravity hammer into a locker and sending it flying into Ovi Tar, crushing him. Vesco tried to push the elite out of the way, but was too late, and instead picked up Tar's discarded machine gun and used it to fire at the chieftain. However, it was too little, and the chieftain engaged Vesco in a melee, leaving Vesco injured before ultimately being driven away by the timely arrival of several Marines led by Commander Agrina. Vesco attempted to tend to a dying Tar, though the elite's injuries were too great. Tar died moments later, attempting to tell a joke to Spartan Vesco. Yes, they finally give us a cool new Sangheili and proceed to kill him almost immediately.
The locker units, finding Ovi Tar crushed between them, an outstretched hand still twitching as his breathing became increasingly laboured. His vitals on Team Bio were rapidly declining. Ovi! Vesco's voice was rough, his hand gentle as it settled on his partner's wrist. Somewhere behind him he could hear the din of conversation, the barking of orders, but his attention remained fixed on the brother who had watched his back for over 5 years. Clear the room, Neely. Make sure there aren't any more surprises here. We're all good, Commander. Looks like our friend here took care of the rest. Spartan Vesco. Tar's eyes brightened for a moment as he croaked the words. What do you call a... The Sangheili went still. Ovi? Ovi?
Por eso esperaba con la carita empapada que llegaras con rosas, con 1000 rosas.
Los soles.
Garama! Fire!